Hello. I find 35 students online. Are you able to hear me? If you are able to hear me, just give a thumbs up. Okay, great. I find at least 3 to 4. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm getting chats. Good. This is your first class. Kindly see to that. Sir, just a moment. Be on the line. Sir? ఆనే ఉంది కదా లైట్ కింద కూర్చున్నాను అదే పనిగా Okay, fine. Yeah. Good afternoon. We are online. I think your paper is Introduction to English Language. Am I right? As your audios are muted, just if I ask you any question, you can either chat or you can just give a thumbs up. Again, I'm just giving you that thing. Yeah, great. Great. Just give me a thumbs up. This paper is something which introduces you to it's an introduction. The title of the paper itself is Introduction to English Language. It discusses with you about, or it's a self-help, self-learning material book. So you can just have a look at this book. So I think you should be having this textbook with you. So the textbook mainly is prepared in such a manner that it will help you to understand or read on your own. Okay. What we do is, as counselors or as an expert, as a subject expert, what we do is we'll tell you how to read or how to go on with your own process. Like suppose you have a textbook with you, or which is a kind of self-learning material. Okay. What you have to do is just take your textbooks, keep them in front of you, open the contents page. Open the contents page. If you open the contents page, you'll find something where you find there are introductions being given, the first block. Okay. Yes, English language. Okay. If you don't have the book, no issues. No issues. But just what I am trying to say is, either you can hear, but what I'm trying to say is this basic thing is you have to take the textbook. You have to have a textbook because the textbook helps you to learn on your own. The material has been prepared in such a manner that it will help you to go on with your introduction to English language. Okay. This block, mainly the first block, talks about introduction to language and communication. Remember that. First, leave about English or Telugu or Hindi. Yes, like there are hundreds of languages out there in the country. Okay. So now, as we have been, as you have taken a course, now you are into your BA English. So that's one reason where you have been given this textbook to cope up with. Okay. So Introduction to English Language and Communication. This is the block's title. Okay. Now you have to look at the unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. See, they are something that talk about language as communication, properties of language, and non-verbal communication. Okay. First, let's look at what communication is. See, the author or whoever has prepared this textbook or whatever material you will be reading tomorrow for your examination or to learn language, first you have to understand what communication is. First, you have to understand what communication is. First, now see, if you open, go to page number 2. If you go to page number 2, you will understand that there are again contents given. There are subheadings given which talk about the process of communication, the types of communication. So now you find here that when somebody is trying to introduce you to a language, whatever, if you start introducing yourself to a language, the first thing you have to understand is you have to understand what communication is. So now again, see, generally I'm speaking to you right now. I'm communicating to you. This is a kind of verbal communication that is happening between us. You are listening to me, but you are not able to get back to me, or you are not able to respond to me because, okay, fine. Yeah, I do understand. You don't have a book, but at least follow me. If I'm a bit fast, ask me, I'll slow down. Even if you don't have a textbook, just keep a pen and paper in hand. Just go ahead, start jotting down points, whatever I say. Okay. Yeah, you can chat. You can just tell me, you can just respond to me on chat. I don't mind. The moment you start chatting, I can respond to you online. Yeah, where we were talking about the process of communication. Suppose the communication thing happens. See, communication is something that happens between two people. Like you talk to someone, you ask someone, or they respond. There's a kind of give and take thing that happens between communication. Here, your textbook literally talks about, or when you are introduced to a language or your English language, for instance, or Telugu, you can take your mother tongue, or you can take your any language that you are familiar with. Sir, before starting the class, can we know about the proper information about the exam? They send the material to our mail, sir. Yeah. Sir, first leave about your information about your examinations. At least hear the class. First, if you hear what your textbook has, what you have to learn, then you can, I agree that then you can go ahead with your information about exams. But this is not a place where I will be talking about examination, but I'll be talking about how you have to learn, or I'm counseling you how to learn, like how you are going to learn on your own. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm giving you a brief introduction about what communication is, what are the types of communication, and I'll be talking about the textbook to you. Okay, so once I talk about the textbook or the unit that you have, what happens is you can start learning on yourself. This is what I'm going to tell you. So I cannot respond to you regarding examinations right now. Let me continue with my class. Yeah. So there are two types of communication. Suppose you want to communicate with someone. So you do a kind of verbal communication. Verbal communication is something you do, like I say, how are you? So you respond to me back saying, yes, I'm fine. I'm not fine. Like, what's happening? What do you do? What's your name? So I ask you a question. The moment you respond, this is called verbal communication. Okay. So the next thing is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is something that happens with gestures. Like suppose you give a kind of, suppose somebody is leaving a particular place. You just say bye to them and you wave your hand. The moment you wave your hand, it means that you are trying to, you are doing a non-verbal communication. You are not opening your mouth, but you are still communicating with the other person. You are saying bye. Or you, just now I was asking you, like, are you able to hear me? And everybody, I asked you, if you are able to hear me, why don't you just give a thumbs up? So everybody just, I found at least 5 to 6 thumbs ups coming out. Somebody is raising a hand. Yeah, go ahead. What? Tell me. You can chat. That's what I said. I think your audio is muted. Why don't you just type it? Raising your hand, then you type it. Some Harshita or Jalgiram. Okay. So non-verbal is happens something like this. Like I give you a thumbs up saying that, yeah, I have won it. Or something positive happens with you. You just raise your hand and say thumbs up. So these signs, SIGNS, The moment you give a sign, this shows that you are doing a non-verbal communication. But when you come to see the textbook whatever your textbook has, it talks about the process of communication. It gives you a very brief introduction about how process of communication happens, what is non-verbal communication, what is verbal communication. And then you go ahead and you find that there are, the moment this is a very brief introduction that I'm giving you, that what is verbal communication and what non-verbal communication. But the moment you come down to what verbal communication is, you find a lot of things happening. So, suppose I speak. I'm speaking in Telugu for your information. I'm using examples. Like I say something like ekkadiki veltunnaru. You find a kind of grammatical construction that is happening while I'm speaking. Ekkadiki veltunnaru. So you use 3 to 4 words. Ekkadiki veltunnaru. So this makes sense to the other person. This is verbal communication. This is called linguistic thing that happens. But remember, linguistic conversation happens through your socio-linguistics. Like there is a society around you. You cannot just say ba 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 ta 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 pa 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 pa. So people don't understand what you're speaking. So the moment some verbal communication happens, it happens in a particular rule frame. So just remember that there are rules and you use language. Yeah, I agree that we don't follow while we are speaking our mother tongue. Am I right? You just speak out. Like मी अम्मा वाला तो मी नाना वाला तो आपके भान से, आपके भाई से, आपके घर में जब आप बात करते हैं, when you speak to your mother or when you speak to your brother or when you speak to your people around you, you don't remember those rules. మీరు rules అన్ని గుర్తు పెట్టుకోరు, आप rules नहीं याद रखते हैं. You just speak. మీకు యాదృచ్ఛికంగా it just happens out like it, because you have been brought up like that. చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి your mother says something, your father is, there's a kind of communication that is happening continuously in your family, among your friends, among your relatives. It's like it's part of the society. So here what happens is you will forget that you are using a set of rules. But when you come to the subject, like when you start learning the basics, what happens is you have to remember that the grammar plays an important role. So grammar, it's a kind of internal thing that happens with your mother tongue. But when you are learning some other language, like suppose English, now you are trying to learn about English language. English language happens when you are trying to look at the framework. Now you have to remember that when you enter the frame, you will find something called verbal communication, non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is something where you don't do the talking, like you don't open your mouth or you don't tell to the other person. But when it comes to verbal communication, what happens is you have to talk in such a manner that the other person understands. Okay, you have to talk to the person. You have to put words in such a manner that the other person understands. So there is a rule position which you can understand once you start learning grammar. So, and you remember that we just don't talk like suppose you don't remember a word, you know it in your mother tongue, like vastavamu. There is a word called vastav, and what happens is you don't know the exact word for vastavamu or vastav in English. So what happens is you stumble there. You stumble, like you cannot communicate with the other person. You cannot say to the other person. So what happens is, sir, which subject? Sir, I'm talking about introduction to English language. You are late. If you are late, please go up. This is introduction to English language. I'm talking about English language. Okay. Yeah. What I was trying to say is the moment you don't get that particular word in English, if you don't know the language, if you don't know the word in English, you cannot properly communicate or tell your whatever is in your mind to the other person. So now you have to know a bit of vocabulary. Meeku vastavamu ante English lo emantaru. What do you say for vastavamu in English is what you have to know it. Like you have to aap janna hai ki vastav English mein kaise bolte hain, kya bolte hain. So it's the word is fact. So you have to first understand, or you have to learn some words. Like you have to build up your vocabulary. The moment you start building your vocabulary, what happens is you can start communicating, or you can develop your communication process. The main thing that you have to do before learning a language is you should know how to communicate, what to communicate, and why to communicate. You have to ask yourself, why am I communicating? What am I communicating in this particular language? That is English language. To learn English language, you have to first understand what communication is. To understand communication, you have to build up a kind of vocabulary first. So catch hold of your dictionaries if possible. If you have a dictionary, buy a dictionary. Just go through the words and try to develop or improve your vocabulary in English so that you can communicate properly English language. Okay. Are you able to follow me? If yes, just put a thumbs up or just type in the chat. Okay. I get only 3 or 4 thumbs ups. Yeah, now I can find, yeah, great. I can find at least 5 to 6 thumbs ups. I'm happy that 5 to 6 thumbs up, but the rest are, I don't know whether they know to give a thumbs up or not, but yeah, fine. Oh, great. Chat, I'm getting a lot of thumbs ups. Okay. See, what happens is, now again, you have to remember there is another subcategory to understand what communication is, like to develop your communication process. There's something called written communication. You write a letter to somebody. Suppose somebody is far off. Suppose nowadays we are able to go online. We are speaking. I'm speaking, and you're able to hear. And there's convenience. Like there's a kind of technological convenience that has developed. But still, written communication plays a major role in society or in among humans, like among people like us. So I write something. So I write a letter. Suppose I write a letter to you. I give a kind. Suppose I think you should have got a kind of message from the university saying that your online classes would start on so and so day, something like that. But in general, there are kind of orders that come out that you should be reading the newspaper every day. So newspaper is, yeah, one good example is newspaper. You take up the newspaper, what you find is, you find that somebody has written an article or somebody has written a news item on the front page. You read the front page, and there is a kind of heading, and there is a kind of 200-word article that goes with that. So the person who has written is writing or communicating to you through writing. So this is one form of communication. So this is a major part. Like the newspaper fellow just writes an article and gives it to you, like he prints it on the newspaper, and you start reading it, and you can understand what the person is trying to convey to you. So he's communicating through writing. So writing plays another major role in communication. Okay. So while writing, yeah, what are sir? How should we develop writing, or how should we develop reading? Yeah, you can do that through like let's go through the whole entire thing from the beginning. Let's not just let not me talk about LSRW to you. Okay, LSRW is a process where you learn listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So it's a process of communication. First, you try to listen, then you start speaking, then you start reading, and then you start writing. This is how you learn a language. So these are the first basic things that help you in understanding what a language is. So to understand, to develop, or to become a professional in a language, for instance, your English language, to become a professional, you have to first listen to the other person who is speaking in English. So you listen, the more you listen, the more you will understand how to speak. Without listening, it is impossible for you to develop speaking. The moment you start speaking, then you will understand, or you will get an idea how to read. Then you will get writing. So what can friends can send the page of the particular topic. Hi sir, please. Yeah, this particular topic, send the page. There's no need to send a page, sir. You are learning basics. So first understand what basics are. Then you can ask your friends, or you can form a WhatsApp group or whatever, and you can communicate with them later. Yeah, this is more of language, like. So yeah, fine. If somebody is chatting something else, I cannot respond to all that chattings, because we have our own lesson that is to be told to you. So now, yeah, I was talking about LSRW. So first, try to listen. Sir, where can we listen? We in our house we speak Telugu or we speak Urdu. Our mother tongue is like, I cannot ask my mother to speak in English because my mother doesn't know English. So how will I get that opportunity to listen? What you have to do is first try to listen to some. See, there's media out there. There are YouTube. I have already told you, you have got the convenient technology nowadays. So just go to some YouTube video, or you can watch news in your house. Like, just listen to some news where you find the person is trying to communicate with you in English. Like, he's telling news in English language. So try to listen. The more you listen, the more you will be able to speak. So without listening, it is not possible for you to learn a language. That is why we are first trying to, that is why I am trying first to tell you, or trying to convey to you or communicate to you about communication, what communication is. Okay. So now if we come down, like if we come down to our textbook, whatever I was just telling you, like there are set of rules. Like, I cannot just talk in English without knowing vocabulary, without knowing the structure. So there is something called structure, and you have set of rules. Like, if I start communicating with you without knowing the set of rules, you will not be able to follow what I'm speaking. I'm trying to speak to you in bilingual, trilingual. I think people, most of the people I see on the screen understand Telugu or Urdu, तो आप और हिंदी. आप जो बात करते हैं, तो जो सामने वाला है वो समझ लेना है. నేను ఏం మాట్లాడుతున్నానో ఎదుటి వ్యక్తికి అర్థం అవ్వాలి అంటే నాకు ఎలా మాట్లాడాలో తెలియాలి. నాకు మాట్లాడడమే చేత కాదనుకోండి అంటే, ఇప్పుడు సపోజ్ నాకు ఉర్దూ రాదు, ఇంగ్లీష్ వచ్చు, నా మదర్ టంగ్ తెలుగు, మై మదర్ టంగ్ ఇస్ తెలుగు, ఐ డోంట్ నో ఉర్దూ. సో వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ ఇస్, ఇఫ్ ఐ ట్రై టు కమ్యూనికేట్ ఇన్ ఉర్దూ టు somebody who knows Urdu and doesn't know English, ఇప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, वो समझ पा सकता है, वो समझ नहीं सकता है. मैं पूछना है कि I want to ask, I go to a place, I suppose I go to Bangalore, or I go to Karnataka. I go to Karnataka and I don't know Kannada. So now I suppose, let's assume that I don't know English, I don't know Hindi, or I know a bit of Hindi, but I don't know Kannada, I don't know English, and I know only Telugu. So if I start communicating with somebody, suppose I have to go to a particular place in Bangalore, to a particular area in Bangalore, I start talking to him. I start asking him in non-verbal. First thing what I do is I'll say Baswan Gudi, or I will say JP Nagar. I'll ask the name of the area. If the person is able to catch me, well and fine. He will just say, catch so and so bus. The bus stand is somewhere, and he will communicate to me in Kannada. But while communicating to me in Kannada, he will do some gestures. Like, suppose now you can find me in the video trying to do a lot of gestures. My hands are continuously moving. So I do gestures, and I will try to tell you the name of the area. This is how you are communicating in a non-verbal manner, because I don't know, because you are able to hear through or look through that non-verbal manner. I don't know the language which is being spoken by the other person, like Kannada, for instance. That's what I said. Or I go to Madras, and I don't understand Tamil, but he will try to communicate to me through his language, and which is a language which I don't understand. You have to remember that. So I don't know the rules, I don't know the vocabulary, I don't know the language. So when I don't know all this, what I try to do is I will try to talk to the other person in a language which I know. मुझे जरा जरा हिंदी पता है, या जरा जरा उर्दू पता है, तो मैं क्या करता हूं, उससे हिंदी में, मीन्स I know the language, but I don't know the language. Remember, I just know a few words like JP Nagar jana hai. I cannot say this. I can say JP Nagar, kahan, kidhar, something like that. I will speak like that. I'll say kidhar hai, kidhar, JP Nagar. I speak something like that. I break things. I don't follow a set of rules because I don't know the language. The moment I don't know the language, I don't know the set of rules. I don't have the command over vocabulary. If I don't have the command over vocabulary, I don't know the language. What I do is I try to use non-verbal communication to talk to the other person who knows a different language, but he doesn't know my language. Okay. So, अब मैं क्या करता हूं, मैं थोड़ा कट ये सब बात कर देता हूं, ऐसा కట్ మాట్లాడేస్తాను తనతో, సరిగ్గా మాట్లాడను, అర్థము తుకడా తింటలు మాట్లాడేస్తాను. దిస్ డజంట్ హెల్ప్ ది అదర్ పర్సన్. హీ మైట్ అండర్స్టాండ్, హీ మైట్ నాట్ అండర్స్టాండ్, బట్ టు సర్టన్ ఎక్స్టెంట్, బికాస్ వీ డోంట్ నో ది లాంగ్వేజ్, we are trying to communicate to the other person and trying to get whatever we want. Like suppose address, that is what I said. बस स्टैंड ఎక్కడ ఉంది నాకు తెలియదు, I don't know कहां बस स्टैंड है, लेकिन मैं ऐसा ही पूछता हूं, खटखट पूछता हूं कि उसकी भाषा में पूछता हूं. I will ask it in his language. అతని భాషలో అడుగుతాను, కానీ అతని భాష నాకు రాదు. అతని భాషలో అంటే ఒక కామన్ సెట్ ఆఫ్ లాంగ్వేజ్, హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్స్ కి ఒక కామన్ సెట్ ఆఫ్ లాంగ్వేజ్ ఉంది. అది ఏది అంటే నాన్ వర్బల్ కమ్యూనికేషన్. Non-verbal communication is gestures. ఇప్పుడు నేను జెస్చర్ చేస్తున్నాను, ఇలా అంటున్నాను. I'm trying to show to you that something is going ahead, or we are trying to go somewhere else. This is how you try to communicate in the very beginning. But the moment you are starting to learn language, remember that there are set of rules which you have to learn properly to communicate in a very professional manner. Okay. Now, see, the first thing is, when it comes to verbal communication, there is something called linguistic competence. Okay, if you want to if anybody has textbooks, don't worry if you don't have textbooks, but if you have a textbook, just go to page number 9 and you will find 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of competencies. Okay, if you have a textbook, don't worry if you don't have a textbook, just go ahead and I'll be explaining what those things are to you. Okay, see, communication just doesn't happen in thin air. ऐसा हवा में नहीं होता है. हवा में मैं बात कर सकता हूं, लेकिन किससे बात करना है, मैं खुद से बात कर लेना है. मैं खुद से बात करना నా అంతకు నేనే మాట్లాడుకున్నాను అనుకోండి, ఓకే ఫైన్, ఎవ్రీథింగ్ అక్కడ వర్క్ అవుతుంది. నన్ను కానీ ఇఫ్ సపోజ్ ఐఎమ్ ఆన్లైన్ టు యూ ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు హియర్ మీ. సపోజ్ ఇఫ్ ఐ స్టార్ట్ బ్లాబరింగ్, దాన్ని బ్లాబరింగ్ అంటాం. ఇన్ ఇంగ్లీష్ the word is blabbering. Then if I start blabbering now, అన్నాను అనుకోండి, if I go on continuously blabbering for 15-20 minutes, either you will think me a madman, मुझे पागल समझेंगे आप, నన్ను పిచ్చివాడిని అనుకుంటారు. లేదా you will instantly call the person like who is recording this, you will call the office, like you will call the person, the administrator, and you will tell, sir, somebody is taking an online class, but we are not able to understand what he is trying to communicate. మాతో ఏం చెప్తున్నాడు, वो क्या बात कर रहा है, हमको समझ में नहीं आ रहा, वो అతను ఏం చెప్తున్నాడో మాకు అర్థం కావడం లేదు. ఈ ఏదో తిక్కగా మాట్లాడుతున్నాడు. ఈ స్పీకింగ్ సమ్ లాంగ్వేజ్ విచ్ doesn't have any sense. So you will start complaining, and then what happens is the administrator will come down and he'll say, Kishore, what are you doing? Why are you blabbering in the class? Just go ahead, tell the class, explain them what communication is. Why are you blabbering? Blabbering is something which happens because I don't know the language. So I blabber. I cannot communicate with you. Even if I communicate with you, whatever I know, you will not be able to understand. But right now, I have just found some 3 to 4 thumbs ups, and I found hands ups, like somebody 4. I find literally some Muskan, Jaligam, and Lakshmi, Satish have already raised their hands. So raising their hand, that itself tells me that they are either able to follow me or they are not able to follow me. But one thing is clear, that you are able to at least understand a minimum. I'm making a minimum sense to you. That is what I can understand, because I'm speaking English and I'm speaking the subject, or I'm trying to tell to you what communication is. Okay, now while we are, let's remember, let's again come from the basics. मतलब किंदा नुंची हम फिर नीचे से आएंगे, basics से आएंगे. So first what I'm trying to tell you is, see, we are in a society. We are in a society. We have friends around, we have relatives, we have families, and everybody is like, we are human beings as such. What I'm trying to tell to you is we are human beings, and every human being is trying to convey something or communicate something with the other human being. So we are using language, but while using language, remember that we are in a society. We are in a society where a particular society, suppose I'm in Hyderabad. Hyderabad is like where I can understand. I'm in a region. I'm in a region. So to put it in a very more concise manner, I'm in a region. The moment I get down in Hyderabad, or when I communicate with a Hyderabadi, I can either use English, or either I can use a bit of Urdu, or I can communicate with him in Hindi, because these languages are the languages that are used in our society, or in this particular region. So now I'm trying to communicate keeping the social issues or social conditions in view. I have always, see, remember, when you talk, you are talking keeping the environment in view. मी चुट्टुपक्कला आपके आजू बाजू जो भी चलता उसके हिसाब से आप बात करेंगे. अगर आप अब now I am taking a class. I'll give you an example. I'm taking a class, and this class is more prone or more related to English language. हम इस क्लास में इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, या कम्युनिकेशन कैसे करना, कैसे सीखना, क्या होता है इंग्लिश కమ్యూనికేషన్ అంటే ఏమి, లాంగ్వేజ్ అంటే ఏమి, భాష అంటే ఏమి అని నేర్చుకోవడానికి మనం ఈ క్లాస్, ఇప్పుడు ఆన్లైన్ క్లాస్ లో ఇంతమంది ఎవ్రీబడి ఈజ్ లిజనింగ్, ఇలా వింటూ ఉంటే నేను సపోజ్ సడన్ గా వచ్చి all of a sudden what I do is I will not talk about communication, I will not talk about English language. I'll start speaking about history. I'll start speaking about history. I will start talking about Charminar. I will start speaking about the Nizams. I will start speaking about what happened in 1468 or 1300s, or otherwise I'll start speaking about Shankaracharya with you. Related लेनी विषय इधर जो भी मैं बात कर रहा हूँ relation होना ही चाहिए, because this environment, this is an environment. Suppose this is a closed environment. Closed environment, we are talking about communication, we are talking about English language. So we are trying to concise to a particular subject, because you people are here, you are all sitting online only to understand, to learn, or to get some knowledge about English language communication. But if I start speaking about history, or if I start speaking about some public administration, or if I start speaking about some other subject, some useless subject, suppose I start speaking about dogs, or I start speaking about animals, but you will not, it's useless speaking to you. You will not benefit anything from whatever I'm trying to communicate. So keep the environment in you. आप जहां हैं वो पहले आप याद रखना पड़ता है. You have to, మీరు ఎక్కడ ఉన్నారు అనేది మీరు గుర్తు పెట్టుకొని దానికి అనుగుణంగా మాట్లాడాలి. You have to speak to keeping the environment or the circumstances. మీ చుట్టుపక్కల ఉన్న ప్లేసెస్, आपके आजू बाजू जो भी है वो याद रखना पड़ता है. See, आप सपोज यू गो टू ए डेथ, कोई मर गया है, ఎవరో చనిపోయారు, आपका रिलेटिव्स हो या आपका फ्रेंड्स हो, आपका फ्रेंड्स का किसी कोई గుజర్ గయే, ఎవరో చనిపోయారు, అక్కడికి పోయి మీరు బ్రహ్మానందం కామెడీ గురించి మాట్లాడతారా? విల్ యూ స్పీక్ అబౌట్ సమ్ కామెడీ సీన్? Is it possible for you to speak about a comedy thing or to communicate some joke there? No, people will not accept, because they are all sad. Somebody is died, like somebody is guzar gaye. Yeah, thank you very much for laughing. Yeah, don't worry, examples do happen like that. Okay, to understand what communication is, to understand what language is, you have to give examples to you. Okay, so what happens is you have to keep that thing in view. आप याद रखना पड़ता है कि आपका एनवायरनमेंट क्या है, आपका सर्कमस्टेंसेस क्या है. आप ऑफिस में हो तो ऑफिस का लैंग्वेज बात करना पड़ता है. आप you are with your mother, you have to speak in her language. You are with your sisters, you have to speak with her in her language. See, language is not that something that happens just in appude annanu. I have already told you, it doesn't happen in thin air. You have to speak to the other person to see if I start speaking in a rash manner. Kopanga, gajibiji, I'm already frustrated, stressed. నేను చాలా disturbance లో ఉన్నాను అనుకోండి. मैं बहुत टेंशन में हूँ समझ लो, और मैं कुछ बक देता हूँ ऐसा ही, इట్లానే ఏదో ఒకటి కచకచ అని మాట్లాడితే what happens is you will not be able to take it. आप रिसीव करना भी बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा, क्योंकि मैं गाली भी देता हूँ, गाली भी दे देता हूँ जब मैं फ्रस्ट्रेशन हो जाता हूँ. तो सबके पास, सबके साथ या कहीं भी कहा, you cannot just use unparliamentary language in some place. So this is what is communication. So communication जब आप करते हैं, the moment you start communicating, remember that you have to keep the circumstances in view. This is what is communication tries to say when it comes to socio-linguistic point of view. Okay, socio-linguistics आप क्या सिखाता है? Competence बोले तो आप ऑफिस में हो, ऑफिस का लैंग्वेज सीखना पड़ता है. You have to understand that particular language and you have to talk in that particular language. You have to write in that particular language. आप लिखना है. ऐसे आप एक लव लेटर लिखते हैं. Suppose you write a love letter to somebody. You cannot write a love letter to a vice chancellor, or you cannot write a love letter to your registrar, or you cannot write a love letter to your colleague, because love letters are something which are very personal communication. You write a love letter and it's a communication thing that happens personally. So personal communication is different and official communication is different. So keeping all these linguistic points of view, but what basically linguistic teaches you how to, like the origin of language. Jahan aap, that's what I was trying to say in the very beginning. Like abhi bol raha tha ki main Hyderabad mein utra to Hyderabad ki bhasha hi baat karna padta hai. If I go to Karnataka, I have to speak Kannada. So yeah, the moment, though I don't know the language, remember that there are gestures or signs like this. If I do signs, if I say like this, if I say like this, it is good in Hyderabad. But this sign, waving hand, might be a bad thing or a bad gesture or a bad way of communicating in some other part of the country. कहीं और जिस देश में मैं देशों के बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ, कम्युनिकेशन के बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट कम्युनिकेशन दैट हैपेंस इन डिफरेंट कंट्रीज, एंड इवन gestures, non-verbal communication is different in different countries. In this country, if you show a particular sign, that means something. X, you do an X gesture, and that means Y. But if you do the same X gesture in some other country, suppose you go to Japan and you do the same gesture that you do in India, non-verbal communication, if you do it in Japan, they will misunderstand you, because that particular non-verbal communication is not same in Japan or America or Germany or some other country. So every country has even non-verbal communication on its own. उसके हिसाब से, वो देश के हिसाब से, उसका एनवायरनमेंट के हिसाब से, वो बच्चों, वो जो उधर रहते हैं, वो लोगों के हिसाब से, उसका हिस्ट्री के हिसाब से सब बदल जाता है. एवरीथिंग चेंजेस. अंता మారిపోతుంది. ఈ కమ్యూనికేషన్ ఎక్కడైతే మారుతుందో, నాన్ వర్బల్ కమ్యూనికేషన్ కూడా మారుతుంది అన్న విషయం గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. జస్ట్ రిమెంబర్ దట్ ద నాన్ వర్బల్ థింగ్ ఆల్సో చేంజెస్. సో why does this change? Why does this happen? Because of the geography. Because of the geography. Here in India, you are doing something like you eat rice. You eat rice. But in Hyderabad, the first thing, you go to a hotel. What will you order? What is famous in Hyderabad? बोले तो chicken biryani order कर देते हैं. ऐसे biryani खा लेते हैं. You just eat biryani there. But the same biryani might not be a special dish or a particular dish in a different geographical condition. Suppose you go to Kerala, you get biryani there, but the same biryani does not fit. You don't get that Hyderabadi biryani thing there. Why? Because remember that geography is also more important. The geographical conditions play a major role. The social conditions play a major role while communicating. Like you talk, that's what I said. మీరు మాట్లాడినా, आप जो बात करेंगे या आप नहीं बात करेंगे, जेस्चर करेंगे, ऐसे टाटा बोलेंगे, हाय बोलेंगे, थम्स अप करेंगे, ऐसा सब जो भी चीज नॉन वर्बल कम्युनिकेशन होता है, इन द मोमेंट. So who is not able to hear? Just raise your hand. Am I not audible? Am I not audible? Are you able to hear me? आप सुन सकते हैं? ఇప్పుడు వినపడుతుందా? Yeah, I am audible. I think I should be audible because only one person is trying to say, sir, kindly you unmute. I suggest you to just, if you are hearing through a phone, why don't you just keep it nearby? Because I find there are more students around who are happy or who are able to hear. Yeah, your audio is good. Turn on your mic. Okay, well, fine. Somebody is suggesting to turn on your mic. Okay. Yeah. Now let's go to this. Yeah, let me continue with the social thing. Social thing is like one another important thing. See, I was just using examples. One example is biryani, or one example is where you go to Kerala. You say katam chai. You say you ask for tea. They will not give you the tea that happens that is prepared in Hyderabad, Irani chai. No, you don't get Irani chai there. Somebody is happily having a chai there. I can see him. Hi. Are you able to hear me? Okay. Read me. Okay. So you are able to have chai here. You have tea. You get Irani chai because of the culture that is in Hyderabad. Okay. But what happens is, you go to Kerala, you ask for chai. Ask them to, you go to some tea stall and say, why don't you give chai? The first thing they will prefer to give you is tea with a decoction. They don't pour milk. They don't prefer. The first preference is decoction. It's decoction. Yeah, they put some tea leaves into water and they will give that to you. And the price is same. The price is like 8 rupees. The same thing, 8 rupees, 10 rupees, same thing. But why does this happen? There is a kind of different preference in a different geographical place. Remember that culture plays a major role. You have to remember that culture is something that is one of the major roles that plays while communicating. And ఏమైనా అర్థం అయ్యిందా? ఏమన్నా somebody is trying to question or somebody are you able to hear me? Sorry, are you able to understand me? Just say yes, yes. Just reply in your yeah, I get 3 yes, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, fine, great. Little bit, sir. Okay. If you have any doubt or if you are not able to follow me, I request you to just stop me. Just to stop me, bole to aap chat mein just ping me there saying that you are not able to understand, and I can stop and what happens is I can slow down or I can make you understand in a more proper manner. I'll try my level best. Okay. Okay. Great. Little bit, sir. Yeah. Little bit becomes more after you listening slowly. Which subject class? Sir, this is English language. This is English language semester 1, and this is an introduction to English language. Okay. But before going into English language, I thought I could make you understand what communication is. So that is the reason you just listen to the class. Most of your doubts can be cleared. If you are a BCom student, that doesn't mean that you cannot participate. You are already in a BCom student. That's why you have got this link. Though it's BCom also has English literature. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah. Now let me go a bit deeper. కొంచెం లోపలికి వెళ్తున్నాను, అంటే సబ్జెక్ట్ లోపలికి. అక్కడే I'm trying to talk about competencies. I'm talking about cultural reflections in language communication, but I'm going a bit deeper. There's something called discourse competence. There's something called the third point. If you can, that's what I said. If you have textbooks, you can check it. There is something called discourse competence. If you don't have a textbook, kindly jot down whatever I'm trying to write. I'm trying to communicate to you. Okay, pen paper petkoni just start writing points, and these points will help you to understand what you are trying to say, what you are trying to, like, the moment you start learning. See, learning doesn't happen just like that. Textbook పట్టుకుంటే క్లాస్ లో కూర్చుంటే learning అవ్వదు. इफ यू वांट टू लर्न, आप भाषा सीखना बोले तो आप फील्ड में रहना चाहिए। फील्ड में बोले तो हर रोज आप फील्ड में ही हैं। यू गो थ्रू ट्रेन, यू ट्रैवल, यू वॉक, यू डू योर जॉब। सो वट एवर यू आर डूइंग, ये फील्ड में रहना है। यू गो देयर एंड टू डू दैट। आप सोसाइटी में सीखना बोले तो आप पहले एक हिसाब बनाया है। You have to write down, jot down notes. First, you have got an opportunity to hear me. So just don't blindly hear me. Yeah, this is being recorded. Don't worry. This record, you can get it on even on YouTube. That's a different thing. But what I am trying to say is you are already in the class and you are listening to me. The best part is whatever I am trying to communicate to you, मैं जो भी आपसे कह रहा हूं, आप points बना लीजिए. You write down in points that will help you to score good marks in your examination. One particular thing I can say is आप एग्जामिनेशन में अच्छा मार्क्स ले सकते हैं और आपका కమ్యూనికేషన్ भी बढ़ा सकते हैं. మీరు ఇంకా బాగా కమ్యూనికేషన్ డెవలప్ చేసుకోవాలి అంటే నేను చెప్పే పాయింట్స్ ని జాట్ డౌన్ చేసుకోండి. అక్కడ రాసుకుంటే ఒకటి రెండు వన్ వర్డ్ లో రాసుకోండి. నేనేం చెప్తున్నాను, సోషల్ కాంపిటెన్స్ అంటున్నాను. సోషల్ కాంపిటెన్స్, ఓకే, సోషల్ లింగ్విస్టిక్ కాంపిటెన్స్, ఆ పదంని రాసుకోండి. Padam, the moment you start writing or jotting down points, what happens is, suppose you get a doubt tomorrow. What happens is either you can call me or you can message me or you can email me or you can look into your textbook. If I am not available, then what happens is, if you get a doubt all of a sudden at night 12 o'clock, रात्रि 12 घंटे 12 बजे को आपको एक डाउट आ जाता है कि सोशल कॉम्पिटेंस क्या होता है, तो the best thing is you have your textbook. I have already used a word, so you can just check it. Yeah, page number 9, sir. Then it goes to discourse competence. See, discourse again means in basic terms. मला चुप्तुनानो आपको बोल रहा हूँ कि though I am going deep into the subject, like going inside the subject, let's remember that discourse in general basics के हिसाब से discourse बोले तो conversation, communication. Again, same word. It's a kind of like synonym to communication or conversation. Discourse is communication, but discourse is something that happens at a particular level. That's what just now some 10-15 minutes back I just was trying to tell you. Discourse अगर आप ऑफिस में होता तो ऑफिस की भाषा बात करना पड़ता है. You cannot just speak some language in office or in your house. आप आपके घर में अगर आपकी माँ से बात कर रहे हैं या आपकी पिताजी से बात कर रहे हैं, आपके टीचर से बात कर रहे हैं, ఎవరితో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు అనేది గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి. You have to remember that with whom you are speaking. The moment you start remembering or keeping in your mind that you are speaking to a particular person in a particular geographical condition, what happens is, the moment you start communicating, ఎప్పుడైతే आप जब शुरू कर देते हैं बात करने का, एक तरीका से बात करते हैं, एक याद रखे మనసులో ఒకటి పెట్టుకొని మీరు మాట్లాడతారో, ఏదైతే మాట్లాడతారో మైండ్ నుంచి ఇట్లా స్ట్రైట్ గా బయటికి వచ్చేస్తుందో నోట్లో నుంచి, आप जो भी आपके मुंह से निकल जाएगा वो आप जरा डर के, या इट माइट बी फियर, इट माइट बी काइंड ऑफ इंट्रोवर्ट कॉम्प्लेक्स, जो भी है, लेकिन आप मुझसे जैसे बात करेंगे आपके पिताजी से वैसे नहीं बात करेंगे. यू विल नॉट टॉक टू two people in the same manner. The moment you start talking to your friends, you will talk in one particular way. But when you speak with me, you will speak in a different manner. So this changes. ఈ చేంజెస్ ఏవైతే ఉంటాయో, మీ ఫ్రెండ్స్ తో మాట్లాడే పద్ధతి, నాతో మాట్లాడే, టీచర్ తో మాట్లాడే పద్ధతి, లేకపోతే మీ ఫ్యామిలీ మెంబర్స్ తో మాట్లాడే పద్ధతి, एक तरीका से बात करेंगे. You will speak in different ways. These different ways are called discourses. Okay? डिस्कोर्स, इसको डिस्कोर्स बोलते हैं. डिस्कोर्स बोले तो यू स्पीक इन ए पर्टिकुलर मैनर विथ ए पर्टिकुलर पर्सनालिटी और विथ ए पर्टिकुलर सोशल बीइंग. షాప్ కి వెళ్ళి మీ ఫ్రెండ్ తో మాట్లాడినట్టు మాట్లాడరు. యు విల్ నాట్ స్పీక్, యు గో టు ఎ షాప్ టు బై సంథింగ్, యు విల్ నాట్ స్పీక్ టు దట్ పర్టికులర్ పర్సన్, టు ద షాప్ కీపర్, the way you speak with your mother. No, you don't do that. The way you speak to your teacher, you don't speak with the shopkeeper. बट वॉट एवर यू स्पीक, आप जो भी बात करेंगे वो शॉपकीपर से, वो शॉपकीपर के उसको याद रखे, ये शॉपकीपर है, ये शॉप में कुछ भेजता है. आई हैव कम हियर टू बाय समथिंग. सो द मोमेंट यू स्टार्ट स्पीकिंग विद द शॉपकीपर, यू स्पीक इन ए पर्टिकुलर लैंग्वेज. You speak English, you speak Telugu, you speak Urdu, but भाषा में कम्युनिकेशन करने का तरीका बदल जाता है. మీరు మాట్లాడే పద్ధతి మారిపోతుంది. It's a kind of method, it's a kind of process. ఒక పద్ధతిలో మీరు మాట్లాడతారు వాళ్ళతో. ఆ మాట్లాడే ఏదైతే ఉందో these particular ways, methods, these all are things or these ways. ఈ మాట్లాడే పద్ధతి ఏదైతే ఉందో these are all called discourses. So you use a discourse or you use in a particular manner, or you speak to that particular person in a particular language. That's what I said. Language is Hindi, language is Urdu, language is English, and the other person is also hearing language in your mother tongue. Or जो आप మీరు ఏదైతే మాట్లాడుతున్నారో, ఏ భాష అయితే మాట్లాడుతున్నారో ఎదుటి వ్యక్తికి కూడా ఆ భాష వచ్చు. Whatever I am speaking to the other person, and that other person is also familiar with the same language. I'm not talking about two different languages. I'm talking about a single language, but the single language has different modes, different ways of speaking. ఒకే భాషని 10, 100, 100 different ways లో మాట్లాడొచ్చు. Why do we speak in different ways? Because we remember that he's a shopkeeper. Because we remember that the other person with whom we are speaking is our mother. Because we remember that the other person is your daughter. మీ కూతురుతో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు, आप आपकी बेटी से बात कर रहे हैं, या आपकी बेटा से बात कर रहे हैं, या आपकी माँ से बात कर रहे हैं. हर whomever with you are speaking, the entire thing changes. So you speak in a different manner with different personality, but you are speaking the same language. जब आप different languages, different methods, different ways, same language बात करते हैं ना, that there you find it's a kind of discourse competence. Like this, you have to learn to speak to a particular person in a particular manner. It is not that you just communicate whatever I said before. You just communicate, and whatever you communicate, it is not like that you speak in the same method, same manner. You don't follow a straight manner with everyone. No, that doesn't happen. The manner changes. पद्धति मारुतुंदी. वो जो भी तरीका है, वो तरीका बदलता जाएगा. फ्रेंड से बात करना, रे इट्रारा, फ्रेंड, क्लोज फ्रेंड अनुकोंडे, ए इट्रारा रे, एरा बाउन्नावा, हाँ, कैसा है रे, क्या रे, कैसा है रे, रागी. This is a kind of slang that we use when we are speaking with our friends or close mates who are very close to you. What they do is you speak in a very happy tone, or you speak in a sad tone. Again, tones differ. Okay, tones बाद में बात कर लेंगे. Yeah, see, the last one is strategic competence. Okay, strategic is like say, let me first tell you what strategy is. Strategy is, the meaning of strategy is it's like a plan. Like you are trying to implement a plan. మీరు आप कुछ करना चाहते हैं, कुछ करना बोले तो आप एक फोन, आपके पास एक फोन है, फोन रिपेयर करना चाहते हैं. आप खुद means it has got there's a problem with your phone, but you are not going to the mechanic to repair your phone. You are going to repair yourself. आप खुद मोबाइल को रिपेयर करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन ब्लाइंडली आप नहीं खोलेंगे. ఇలా నా దగ్గర ఫోన్ ఉంది, తీసేసి రిపేర్ చేయను నేను. దానికి I will try to first learn if I can remove it, or if I can repair it on myself. I will first have a look at it. But to think or to understand the phone's condition, I will use a plan. प्लान, मैं एक प्लान सोचता हूं, या कुछ मेरा दिमाग में कुछ चलेगा. ये जो चलता है वो एक स्ट्रैटेजी होता है. ओके, दीपा तुलासानी, PUBG, I don't understand what is PUBG. Madam, can you explain what this is? An official class going on. Limit the discussion to studies, not PUBG. What is PUBG? Deepa Tulsani. Oh, to everyone. Oh, so you are saying it to everyone. Okay, sorry. I don't think I come under that everyone, because I'm the one who is communicating. All your mics are muted. Okay. I don't understand what PUBG is. See, this is the problem. Some Deepa Tulsani has typed here. Limit the discussion to studies, not PUBG. There is a communication gap. Like Tulsani madam knows what PUBG is, but I don't know, or whoever to whomever, I don't know how many of you know what PUBG means. No, Deepa, I'm not criticizing you. You are a very good example for me here. You have used a very good example for me to tell what communication is. Don't worry about that. Okay, it's a game, sir. Okay, fine. Okay, so PUBG is some game, it seems. So I don't know what PUBG means. Really, I'm telling you, I didn't know it. So there is a kind of communication gap right now. So these things, Kalyani was just telling others not to talk about PUG because there is a English language class going on here right now. So what we are doing right now is we are talking about English language. We are talking about communicational processes. So the moment we are talking about communicational processes, this itself is a discourse. अब जो भी चल रहा है, this is about this can be called a strategic competence. तो मैं आपसे एक पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट बच्चों को कैसे पढ़ाना, స్టూడెంట్స్ కి ఎలా చెప్పాలి, నా విద్యార్థులకు నేను ఎలా కమ్యూనికేట్ చేయాలి, కమ్యూనికేషన్ అంటే ఏమి, ఎలా నేర్పించాలి అని ఐఎమ్ ట్రైయింగ్ హియర్. సో I am not talking something else. I'm not talking about PUG, and somebody else is talking about PUG. Somebody is interrupting, talking about PUBG. So some Kalyani just said, no, please don't do that. So there is this particular strategic competence that is happening or trying to fill the gaps. Like आप जब plan करते हैं या ऐसे बात करना, suppose let's assume, I'll give you one more example. I'll tell you one more example. Generally, if you go to an interview, if you go to an interview, suppose you're going to an examination. Examination is one good example. If you have an examination tomorrow, or if you have an interview tomorrow, what happens with you? आपके साथ क्या होगा? कल tomorrow morning 9 बजे है, आपको अभी पता चल गया कि आप इंटरव्यू को अटेंड, మీరు ఇంటర్వ్యూ కి అటెండ్ అవ్వాలి అని మీకు తెలుసు. And what happens now is there is a fear that starts in you. इंटरव्यू में मैं कैसे बात करना, what will they ask in the interview, क्या क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे, అగర్ ఎగ్జామినేషన్ మే అటెండ్ कर रहा हूं, నేను ఒక ఎగ్జామినేషన్ కి వెళ్తున్నాను, ఇంటర్వ్యూ కి వెళ్తున్నాను, ఏం అడుగుతారు, ఎలా సమాధానం చెప్పాలి అని మీరు మెంటల్ గా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసుకుంటారు. what happens is you go on practicing in your mind. You will not even sleep. You will not even sleep in that you will not even sleep. You will lose your sleep thinking continuously. You will be thinking, अरे मैं कैसे बात करना, उससे क्या वो क्या पूछेगा, అతను ఏం అడుగుతాడు, నేను ఏం సమాధానం చెప్పాలి, कैसे, what should I answer, what is the question that will be asked. I don't know anything. So I'll be planning in my mind how to talk, what to communicate in that interview or in that examination. Verbal communication, written communication कैसे करना है. I'll try my level best to क्या क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे, कैसे आंसर लिखना है इसको. तो ये सब सोचता हूं continuously. I'll be thinking. This particular thinking is what I'm trying to tell to you. Like this whatever happens in your mind, you are doing a strategy. You are planning to communicate to the other person. अतनकी how to satisfy that interviewer. वो मुझे वो job चाहिए. I need that job. If I need a job, if I need that particular job to which I'm going for an interview, it becomes very difficult. Yeah, you can introduce yourself. I'm not denying the fact that Naushil Fatima can introduce. Yeah, you can introduce yourself. But what happens is you cannot convince. So you are trying at your level best to convince. आप वो जो पूछता है अतन ఏం అడుగుతాడో మీకు తెలియదు. You don't know the question that is going to ask you. So what you do is you build a strategy. ఒక ప్లాన్ వేసుకుంటారు మైండ్ లో, ఇట్లా మాట్లాడితే బాగుందా, అలా మాట్లాడితే బాగుందా, ऐसा बात किया तो अच्छा होगा क्या, वैसा बात किया तो अच्छा होगा क्या, ऐसा. Like you go on talking, all you go on planning everything in your mind. आप खुद से आपके माइंड में कंटिन्यूसली बात करते ही रहेंगे. The moment whatever process happens in your mind, this is called strategic. Okay, so this strategic competence, आप the moment you want to go to that interview, suppose 9 बजे इंटरव्यू चले गए, इंटरव्यू को వెళ్ళిపోయారు, इंटरव्यू हॉल में गए, you have gone into the interview and you have sat in that interview chair. Still you will be thinking, अरे कल रात से मैं ये ऐसा बात करना चाहता था, वैसा बात करना चाहता था, इట్లా మాట్లాడాలనుకున్నాను, అలా మాట్లాడాలనుకున్నాను, I want to answer this in a particular manner, इसको ऐसे समझाना था, वो क्वेश्चन को ऐसे जवाब देना था, इట్లా ఆలోచించి the moment you start thinking whatever, you are trying to fill gaps. जो गैप आता है, वो गैप माइंड में जो गैप आता है, you are filling that gap. Remember that you are trying to fill gaps continuously you are filling gaps. कैसे ఎలా ఆన్సర్ ఇవ్వాలి, ఎలా ఆన్సర్ ఇవ్వకూడదు, ఇలా నేను ఇలా మాట్లాడితే అతనికి కోపం వస్తుంది, अगर मैं ऐसा बात किया तो उसको गुस्सा आ जाएगा क्या, मैं कैसे बात करना, वो अंडी बोलना है, अंडी नहीं बोलना है, ఏమండి రెస్పెక్ట్ఫుల్ గా మాట్లాడాలా, లేకపోతే క్యాజువల్ గా మాట్లాడాలా, లేకపోతే ఫార్మల్ గా మాట్లాడాలా, ఇన్ఫార్మల్ గా మాట్లాడాలా, ఐ డోంట్ నో ఎనీథింగ్, ఐ డోంట్ నో, ఐ యామ్ జస్ట్ అజ్యూమింగ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్ నైట్, like I have to talk in a formal manner, informal manner, कैसे बात करना है, how should I convince, how should I make the interviewer convince me, उसको कैसे मैं कन्विंस करना है, वो कन्विंस करने का जो भी प्लान आपके माइंड में चलता है, మీ మైండ్ లో ఏదైతే నడుస్తూ ఉంటుందో కంటిన్యూస్ గా, ఏది ఆ ప్లాన్ లో మీరు ఏం చేస్తున్నారు, వాట్ యు ఆర్ డూయింగ్ ఇన్ యువర్ మైండ్ ఈస్ యు ఆర్ ట్రైయింగ్ టు ఫిల్ గ్యాప్స్ అన్ని యు ఆర్ ఫిట్టింగ్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్. ఓకే, anyhow I have another 2 minutes left for the class. Any doubts? Until now I have just introduced you to communication. The next class will be on there will be a schedule which will be given to you, don't worry. There is a schedule that is given to you, and if you have any doubts or clarifications regarding the subject, don't ask me when the examination is. Okay, examination देखने का कोई और है, आप जो भी मुझे पूछना है, if you have any clarifications or if you want to raise any doubts, just chat. I think all your audios are muted, they are in mute, I can see that. Just ask me. Yeah, go ahead, I'm just watching the chat, just go ahead, ask me anything, any doubts that you have. Exams are from 9th. No, I don't know. Okay, you have understood whatever I said. Okay, fine. But means, see, there's something. Let me. I would like to speak English like you. Okay, fine. But to speak English like me, you have to first understand. First, you have to listen. You have to listen. That's what I said. LSRW. Jot down. आप